is actually confirmed that we are done filming for Ahsoka season 2.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that overall?
It feels like just yesterday they announced that, they just began filming. I looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's been like a good couple months, if not like a year and a bit since they
Right.
announced that they were actually filming. But I don't know, like for me, time has just been passing by so quick that it really just feels like yesterday the announcement came out that they just began filming. And now, the cast is all celebrating, Aman and Natasha and Ivan were all posting on their stories.
Yeah,
They
dude.
just look like a cool bunch to hang out with, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like everyone there gets along, and it's like one of those things where you think about Ray Stevenson unfortunately not being there and not getting to see how we look at Ahsoka season 1 and the work he did.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping, with how tight the click is, I'm hoping that Rory McCann is able to step in and kind of be welcomed with open arms, which I 100% almost guarantee that that's what the cast and crew is doing for Rory. Um,
Absolutely, yeah.
but this is just such a awesome part of the story, and we haven't even seen it yet. I feel like we know, what we're leading into. Maybe there's some Mortis gods, maybe there's some leaks, leading back into flashbacks of the Mortis gods,
Yeah.
seeing more. Maybe we see some familiar faces. Ewan McGregor, for instance, may see him.
I mean, there
It
were the rumors going around that he was gonna appear. They tried to shut that down a bit, but this is Disney and Lucasfilm we're dealing with here, so I wouldn't be surprised if they, shut it down, be like, oh no, 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 he's not coming. And then, episode 2, all of a sudden, there's Obi-Wan.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised, especially if Anakin is to play a bigger role going forward into Ahsoka season 2. I mean, it's almost like peanut butter with no jelly. I mean, Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's they're one and the same at the end of
The
the day.
dynamic duo.
So, I mean, I definitely think we're going to see some Ewan, and I think it's really going to impact the story to a level because
Hmm.
I think the Mortis gods getting a flashback in Ahsoka season 2 can give those casual fans, the ones who hadn't seen Rebels, the ones who hadn't seen the Clone Wars, they don't have to go back and watch those. They can kind of jump ship and get maybe an entire episode, maybe a flashback of what was going on, or maybe even 15 minutes, something kind of
Hmm.
like the Siege of Mandalore or the
Yeah.
Battle on Ryloth that we got. Those kind of changed in and out between like 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe we get that of the Mortis gods, and that is
Even
going to
like
be
some tiny
insane.
little story recap at like maybe the beginning, or it's like, as they progress into like some elements of like the Mortis gods coming into play in Ahsoka season 2. And it's like, oh, it's like they reference the father, then oh, it's a flashback to, them interacting with the father. Then, they talk about the daughter and, Ahsoka's connection to the daughter. I mean, some argue and theorize that she is the daughter, right? I
Yeah,
mean, she died in the Clone Wars, or I don't know if she died or like she was on the brink of death or what exactly was. It's been a minute since I watched the Clone Wars, but it's like, Anakin had like, that power of the chosen one and like transferred the daughter's life essence into Ahsoka. And then as time went on, Morai, the little owl's been following her around in like damn near every project that Ahsoka's been in.
dude, and that's the thing too. And we got to see her in Ahsoka season 1. We've seen Morai in
Yep.
live action. That connection to the daughter is still there, and I think it's just kind of painting this picture that Anakin will be the father,
Mhm.
essentially, if they do like continue that setup in the story. We got the Mortis gods, the father, the son, the daughter. Um, maybe Ahsoka ends up being the daughter. Maybe Balin becomes the son. I mean, it's almost
Mhm.
very obvious that Anakin is the father. At the
Yeah.
same time, it's just how would Balin necessarily be the son? Like, is he that dark side? It's one of those things where I feel like you feel more light or just more confliction. Balin to me kind of seems more like a more fleshed out Qui-Gon Jinn, a more fleshed out Count Dooku. It's the same. It's kind of the
Absolutely.
same vibes.
He definitely gives, not as, light-sided Qui-Gon, because, you do see some of that dark aspect come out for Balin's character. But then again, when it comes to Dooku, not as dark side. So he's kind of like that almost perfect median. Um, so like that thought definitely came on, because the season finale gave that little tease. Ray was standing on like the edge of the father, pointing out, and you saw the like little light in the distance. similar to like the light above like the Mortis God's temple from the Clone Wars. And I had that kind of same theory coming out of Ahsoka season one. I was like, I wonder if they're setting Balin to be in some way part of that kind of Mortis God triad there, because obviously the way Clone Wars set it up was Anakin was going to be the father. He chose not to, and then the story progressed into, oh, the force is out of balance now. And I think when it came to, finally, end of Return of the Jedi, Luke kind of turns Anakin back to the light. And then as he passes, I think that I don't know if he like became the father specifically, or he's just kind of embodying what the father represented to the force.
There you go. Yeah, that's kind of a good. That's kind of. I feel like that's better because you look at the
Yeah.
father, and it's like, okay, here's this almost symbol of both of light and dark, and
Hmm.
it's more of the. It's not more so that the OG father of the Mortis gods was, the balance to the force that Anakin is solely the chosen one. He is there to bring balance to the force. I mean, it's always been the
Hmm.
prophecy. You see it time in and time out. Just even watching Star Wars, you see that connection with Anakin and the force, and it's just like maybe Anakin can kind of change the game a little bit. It's
Hmm.
kind of like him running his own show. Basically, he can still be the father and what he represented, but in a different way, because of course Anakin is a one of a kind character. So
Yeah.
maybe that's the way they kind of run off with it. That's a good
Well,
point
that's
you
it.
got.
That's an interesting take you just brought up, though. Becoming what the father represented, but then so much more.
Right.
Because we kind of saw some of the failings of the father. As he grew with age over time, he lost control of his kids, and the dark side's kind of been running rampant in the galaxy during that time. So his son has definitely been giving or gaining a lot more power. So maybe Anakin is that one that goes that step beyond what the father was, and
Yeah.
truly bring that balance to the galaxy.
Yeah, dude. It's one of those things to think about. Like, man, this could absolutely change the trajectory of Ahsoka season 2 and what season 1 was even.
Absolutely.
Um, I will say when I first seen the Clone Wars and got to the Mortis Gods arc, I was like, man, what is this? Because it was hard for me to be like going back and looking at Anakin in in Revenge of the Sith and just thinking like, so this Anakin went through that, like he stumbled upon this weird rhombus just floating in the galaxy and then went through everything that they went through. And just to think, going into Revenge of the Sith, these events happened. But of course, I'm always an advocate to say, if an album on the first listen might not be great, let that album marinate a little bit, go back, revisit it, and then kind of give it your second opinion. And
Yeah.
seeing the Mortis gods in the Clone Wars and also seeing them in Rebels kind of helps me understand, like, that wasn't a big part of Anakin's story. That was just a little tidbit, and now we're at this point in time where Dave Filoni is kind of in charge of Star Wars for the most part, for a more so of like a collective.
Yeah.
He's the one there painting the picture. So this is just one of those little stories that he's just kind of bringing more to light. And this is kind of like Dave Filoni's Star Wars. And of course, George Lucas was once there. He approved of this clearly. And it didn't change any trajectory of Anakin Skywalker, which sometimes that can get controversial in Star Wars. Some fans don't like a
Absolutely.
project and they're like, oh, well, this completely contradicts what Anakin Skywalker, was meant to be. And it's just like, different stories for different people, for different fans. I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah, the target audience is always the main thing you kind of want to bounce back to, but at the same time, the story is very relevant.
Well, that's the great part about Star Wars, right? Is you have so many different medians, books, games, comics, shows, even like within shows, you have your animation, you have your live action movies, so there's always something out there for everyone.
Hmm.
But yeah, when it comes to Dave Filoni, I mean, yeah, this is a lot more, Dave Filoni's Star Wars, but you also have to remember that him and Lucas worked really closely, like together on so many things, bouncing ideas off each other that, Dave Filoni is almost like a Lucas protege in some regards. And I think a lot of the fans see him that way, 10 times in the comment section, I'll see, trust in Dave Filoni
Yeah.
for like literally anything that he's put out.
Let Dave cook.
Yeah, exactly. Like put Dave in charge of Lucasfilm.
Man, it's always one of those things too, like, some people always say like lazy writing in Star Wars, and I'm always just like, well, what would you write? They're there for the reason of, making good stories and giving different
Hired
writers the
for a
keys.
specific reason, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, me as the Star Wars fan that I am, or the casual film junkie that I am, I love genres of all sorts of film and series, and every corner of it all, and it's just like I could never even begin to write, I don't even know, like, what's a bad movie? Like Return of the Living Dead 3, like that's not a good movie. I couldn't write anything better than that, so it's like it's there for a reason, I couldn't do better. So
Absolutely. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
everyone has something to say at the end of the day, Even when it comes to, Ahsoka, season 1 personally wasn't my favorite project. Um, I had my issues with it, some of like the choreography wasn't my favorite.
Mm,
Some of the decisions with, certain character arcs obviously, to me wasn't something that I like wanted to happen or thought could happen. But like at the end of the day, it did set up something of what a season 2 could be, and I'm still excited going into season 2 because I feel like a lot of people are so harsh on season 1s nowadays. I mean, look at so many great television shows that have gone on over time. And you look back at the first season, it's like if that came out nowadays, we would not have gotten season 2, 3, 4, or 5 because
no.
everyone is so online. There's so like everyone has a platform to speak now.
Hmm.
So, so it come again with Ahsoka, I enjoyed, watching. There's a lot of aspects I enjoyed, but it wasn't my favorite. But that doesn't mean I'm not excited for a second season. I definitely think season 2 is going to build so much more on top of the elements that I enjoyed from season 1. I think people just got to give shows like a shot.
Oh, for sure, dude. And that's like my thing too, is it's like after a first watch, you're gonna have your first opinion. You're gonna have that pilot feeling. I mean, dude,
Yeah,
like looking at, Breaking Bad is like, in my opinion, one of the best TV series of all time. And it's just like that first season was just kind of meh. It's like, it sets up the picture, it sets up Walter White and his character, and what the sacrifice has to be going forward. But as the seasons go on, it gets so much better.
yeah,
And a lot of fans, especially with like The Mandalorian, like maybe even season 3, for instance, and Book of Boba Fett at times, talking about filler episodes. So for me,
yeah,
seeing a filler episode in Star Wars, I'm just kind of like, okay, it happens. It's a TV show. I'm a Walking Dead fan, bro. Half of the entire series is filler. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Like, I,
absolutely.
I'm used to this.
No, but as a Star Wars fan saying, "Oh my god, there's too many filler, like too much filler episodes nowadays or filler storylines." It's like, what are you talking about? Like not to like, it's just you rank the Clone Wars as like your all-time favorite Star Wars TV show, and then you're
uh,
mad about recent shows as having fillers. Like, what do you think half of the Clone Wars was?
yeah,
Like
that
like
is so true.
everyone like I'm not gonna lie, like Clone Wars, obviously my childhood, one of my
Hmm.
favorite shows of all time. It has so many great stories, but it also has so many like really bad stories as well, or not bad, but like dry, uninteresting. Especially with the way the animation looked in the first few seasons, it's like if you release something like that nowadays with the current fandom,
Ooh, ooh.
we might not have even gotten to season 2, 3, all the way up to 7.
Yeah, that's also something I'll just never forget, is just like, and even begin to understand, is why the Acolyte isn't going to be continued. Now, in my opinion, that's not the best story that's been told in Star Wars, but
Yeah,
it definitely had the chance. Like, talking about a first season, and also too, like when everyone was screaming that season two's canceled, good, the Acolyte's trash, it doesn't need to be renewed for a second season, go woke, go broke, and people don't even know how to use the term woke correctly.
yeah.
It's just also one of those things where it's like, whoever said there was going to be a season 2? Maybe
There
this
was
is,
never anything. Yeah,
Disney loves to throw that idea of a trilogy or a trifecta. I mean, maybe this was like the first installment of something going forward. Maybe it's not about the space switches, or it's about the Jedi, in the late High Republic era. Maybe it actually is about Chimere and Plagueis. And it's insane to think, like what was next? Could this be maybe where Chimere and Plagueis actually duke it out, or he actually is the apprentice, or he's the one before Palpatine? I mean, who knows? And it's just like
Yeah.
everyone's kind of yapping and chirping about how bad season one was, and now it's like Disney might hear that and be like, "Damn, man, we had this awesome thing set up. We were gonna give the fans a Sith show that they've always wanted. Showing
Yeah.
Plagueis for the first time in live action history of Star Wars. Like that, like that's not a small deal. That's a massive, massive importance in Star Wars.
Like these are big players we're talking about here. I mean, Plagueis, like
Yeah,
how many memes have you seen about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis?
yeah.
James Luciano's book Plagueis is like one of my favorites of all time. And being able to see that character appear, and like obviously the book's legends, but like for my own personal headcanon, like that book is a part of Star Wars for me because it's explained so much that went on in the prequels. And
Mm-hmm.
it also adds to Maul's character, it adds to Sidious's character. But I agree 100% when it came to the Acolyte. I thought it got way too much hate. Now, that's not to say I think it's the best thing that Disney's ever produced.
Yeah, for
Obviously
sure.
not. But I also think it might be because of the amount of hate it got. I think it's a genuinely underrated Star Wars project. Because while, yeah, there's a certain, again, like as any other show, there's certain directorial or like, story wise, directions that, I wouldn't have personally chosen to go with.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone out there being like, "Oh, Acolyte broke Star Wars. It's destroyed the lore." It's like, did I watch the same show you did? Because I didn't see any of that. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude.
especially with like, I agree with you. Like, I think the Acolyte could have been setting up something with Chimere and with Plagueis. And Chimere was like a huge standout in that show for me. I think he's one of the best original characters that Disney's
Oh
created over
yeah,
like the last few years.
yeah,
So if the future of the Acolyte would have been him and Plagueis, like we were robbed.
bro. Like we had I mean, there's so many deciding things. I mean, you see Manny Jacinto popping out to Comic Cons, and I did talk in my live stream on Sunday that Manny Jacinto being in the Time Magazine Top 100 Rising Stars, that is something Disney has to look at and capitalize,
Absolutely.
because he could damn near be the next Pedro Pascal in
Absolutely.
Star Wars. Not saying that he's going to be the next Fantastic Four member, or he's going to be in a new video game adaptation of a zombie breakout.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's going to be to that trajectory, but what you do is you have Pedro Pascal, a very well known actor in the last decade, becoming someone who is known as the Mandalorian going forward. That's a big deal, no matter how many times you see his face. Now you
Yeah.
look at Manny Jacinto, the dude's cool. He looks good. He plays the part well. He's, basically a main attraction in the storyline. Going forward, if you're Disney, you want more of that. And if they,
Yeah.
and Disney and Lucasfilm, they listen, they might listen to some other creators as, more than others. But at the
Right.
same time, they got people everywhere. They're going to be, looking in category. They're going to be reading forums, a bunch of different things on the online, of course, because that's where ratings come from. The
Yeah.
internet is such a double-edged sword. It's an awesome place and it's a terrible place. Um,
All at the same time.
at the same damn time. And that's the thing, is it's like you see the love that Chimere gets. The only thing is,
Yeah.
if the Acolyte got a Lego set that printed the Stranger, that look right there, in my opinion, it's not a Boba Fett costume, it's not a Darth Vader outfit, but I think that overall look is some of the best things I've seen in Star Wars. I'm also a horror fan, so seeing that helmet, I'm
Right up
like,
your
dude,
alley.
sign me up.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it would be a missed opportunity if they don't bring that in and capitalize and just keep going. I mean, Black Series made the helmet, for Christ's sake. They
I
if
want
it's
that helmet
done,
so bad, man.
they're not going to make these products that won't sell, and it's selling.
Yeah.
Where am I at? Yeah, it's back. I got one right down on the floor.
Oh
I
yeah,
got
yeah. Ah,
so yeah,
such a cool helmet, man.
it's so dope.
I saw someone post that on social media today. It was like, stating that is Kamir's helmet one of like the best new designs that Star Wars has, and it's absolutely like it's terrifying. Like
dude.
if you're in that position of the Jedi there on this unknown planet, it's dark out, pitch black, people are dead around you, and then all of a sudden, out of the dark, floating down like he did in the show, it's him in that mask. Like
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm one of those like first
terrifying.
7 Jedi that just gets slayed right away. There's
Yeah.
no chance I'm surviving that. And
Oh
that's
god,
also
no.
the thing too is that a lot of people look at Chimera and they're like, "Wow, this is, such a different and new kind of style of character." But I mean, this guy has cortosis, something that's been talked about, in expanded lore and legends, and it's just insane to see like, "Oh man, they're bringing this to canon, to live action, and it worked well, man." Like the gauntlet he
Yeah.
has, everything's 10 out of 10 for
Like
him.
headbutting the lightsaber to turn it off, and oh, it's so cool. Like his fighting style is so unique.
So unique, dude. Yeah, imagine seeing any other character headbutt a lightsaber. They're not gonna,
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
not going
gonna
over well.
survive that.
And not even just like to headbutt it to deflect it, but like to like use that as a way to neutralize your opponent's
Yeah, it's a
like weapon.
strategy.
Like he's a dangerous character. And like
Yeah,
that's actually one thing that I love so much about Kamir's character is like he's not only deadly with, a weapon, it's like when it comes to, him trying to bring like the sisters over to his side, or his philosophy is one that like he truly believes it. Like,
yeah,
how you have these characters that are trying to manipulate for manipulation's sake, say what think they need to say in the moment to bring them over, and Kabir does that absolutely, but I don't think he's lying on anything he says. I like for him, every piece of like philosophy or stuff to like bring the sisters over to his side is like he genuinely believes what he's preaching.
right. Yeah, dude, and it's beautiful too. It's kind of like the overall setup for Chimera in the Acolyte paints a larger picture than itself. It's really not about the. It's, I mean, honestly, it's really not about the Jedi. You look at that overall story, and it's like, okay, that's another thing too that I always kind of fall back to is he tells Soul that, you guys might call me Sith. And right there, it's like, yeah, Chimera knows that he's not a Sith. He might follow the same tactics. And I mean, it's kind of even hard to say that he would follow it because we don't know much about the character.
No,
Um,
yeah,
but I believe I've seen something that in the Acolyte visual dictionary, there's a part where it's talking about Leslie Headland talking about there was the one of the first options was the him as would be him starting the Ren. Like he is the first Ren going forward. So like that in itself is awesome because in my opinion, Chimera could basically be what those call a gray Jedi. Now, if you're a
yeah.
Star Wars fan and you don't think gray and a gray Jedi is real, I mean, whatever. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. The Chimera could be that kind of light side Sith kind of gray area where he's
Yeah,
not a Sith, doesn't follow the rule of two, doesn't follow that faction, but kind of branches off and has his own thing as a gray Jedi would.
like he has his morals obviously, but at the same time he's not afraid to tap into that darker aspect of the Force.
Yeah, and
And
especially
that
mixing the cortosis, mixing in the whatever the cortosis does to his mind. Like when he has it on, it completely shuts you out. Um, outside sources can't see in. Have your feelings like we're in Vernestra. I mean, I know Vernestra Row, and as the High Republic fan that you are,
yep.
um, just the way they sense each other, and once he puts the helmet on, he's blocked off. He can't see anything. So there's a lot more with Chimera that we need to see, and especially going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a depth to his character that we didn't get the chance to flesh out, and it's really disappointing.
Yeah, man, it sucks. People suck.
Yeah.
It's just like
But
guys, you
that's the
could have
thing
got.
though, is like, there's always that loud voice online, the anti-acolyte, against this, against that. But at the same time, like there's a rising voice of acolyte support that I've been seeing all over social media.
Hmm.
And again, like you said, like while yes, Disney, Lucasfilm are obviously at the end of the day going to do what they're thinking is best. In some way, in some aspect, they still listen to the fandom.
Yep. It's very true. And Also, a thing too that I always love to mention is it's like you don't have to like something. I'll never ever hold that against you. You know, if you like Rogue One more than Revenge of the Sith, if you like Attack of the Clones more than you like Rogue One, awesome. You know, different times. I mean, we're all born different years, different generations. We're gonna like what we like. I'll
Yeah.
never hold that against you. But if you're being hateful about it, hateful about a project, that's where it's just like, okay, now what are we doing? What are we doing with our time right now?
Yeah, like, is that how you want to spend your day, going online and just, trashing people's opinions? It's like, yeah, if you don't like what I like, I'm glad you're enjoying something of Star Wars, because no matter what, you're a fan. And that's the dumb thing is, like, I feel like this is such a modern way of looking at Star Wars, but it's like so many people out there are like real Star Wars fans, or it's like I'm a Lucas Star Wars fan, not a Disney Star Wars fan. It's like at the end of the day, it's all Star Wars.
Yeah,
There's no true fan. If there is something that is in essence Star Wars and you're a fan of it, you're a fan no matter what.
yeah. Yeah, dude. There's been so many times where I've had to like check myself because like I grew up with one through six, so all of that is just impeccable to me. That's what I grew up on.
Yeah,
That's what I know earliest. Now, when I went to Rogue One, Solo, The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, I love all those films. Now, they might not be as nostalgic and impactful in my life as one through six was. You know, growing up, being a child, watching that stuff. I mean, I just can't sit down and just be like, yeah, they should have done this better. Now, going back to I had to check myself era is like you kind of look at Star Wars as a whole from the outside. Now, people who say like, like the OT and the prequels were just perfect. It's like, guys, look, A New Hope was just kind of this like runaway idea that George Lucas had to make this this idea of, like space, basically like space battles, and there's a higher power and a lower power and they collide.
yeah,
And it did so good that going forward, George had to reach out to his wife at the time to kind of help the dialogue going forward. There's been a lot of mix-ups. Luke and Leia
yeah.
being twins obviously was not the first idea, and you can see that if you watch A New Hope. There's literally no indication that these two are
Related in any manner. Yeah.
and twin siblings at that. In the next one, they're kissing. What are we doing? And then by the third one, they're like, "Oh yeah, Leia's talking about how she knew that they were real, brother and sister." It's like, what are we doing? Like that's not perfect. Are you kidding me? That's incest. That's
Yeah.
what this is.
Straight up. Yeah. And yeah, and you get to the prequel trilogy as well. I mean, some of the dialogue, man, it's like Hayden's actor, Hayden Christensen, Anakin's actor, like he gets so much, or got so much, hate for his portrayal of the character. But like at the end of the day, it's like, was he like the top actor at the time? Obviously not.
Mm,
But the what he had to work with, the dialogue, it's like anyone would have like got the same backlash he did. I mean, some
yeah,
of the dialogue, man, like George Lucas, what were you doing?
yeah. It's like, dude, have you ever like talked to a woman before? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
And then,
obviously they still hold a place in my heart. I love those films
oh,
absolutely, but it's like
100%.
everyone treats Lucas's six movies as like the Bible or like the holy grail of perfection. It's like, no, it wasn't.
At all.
Any little shred of something wrong with like a piece of Star Wars media nowadays, it just gets torn apart.
Yeah.
It's like if we had this chronically online aspect back when, the first three movies came out, like we would not have gotten prequels.
No, 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 no. No chance.
No.
No chance at all. And I've actually never thought of that. I've thought of like if the internet was prominent and like as big as it is now during the prequel era, we would be in a world full of shit. I feel like
Oh,
Disney would have
absolutely.
someone would have bought Star Wars and right away, maybe by 2007 at that point. Like that's just ridiculous.
I
Like
mean,
how
Lucas got so much hate without the internet that forced him to not want to make Star Wars anymore. If you add the internet on top of that,
oh god,
yeah.
scary. Well, there's also that little like mini documentary like the people against George Lucas or the something like that, where it's
Mhm.
basically just like a old age like documentary of people just like, yeah, so Star Wars is not good for X, Y, and Z reason, you know? And it's like, cool, you know, that exists, but I mean, I still love Star Wars. I love it all.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of the point I make is it's like I understand as a Star Wars fan that none of this shit is perfect, but it's perfect enough to me with my opinion and how I see it and what I've gone through watching Star Wars that I'm here. I'm a lifer, dude. I'll
Yeah.
forever love Star Wars. Now, if they want to make characters this color, if they want to make characters this race, if they want to make them this sex and this, you know, whatever they want to make them, I don't care. You know, it's space. It shows difference. You got to adapt with times. I don't care. Whatever it is, sign me up. If
I
it's
know.
good, I'll watch it. I'm not gonna criticize by any means. I'm a lifer, dude. I love Star
That's
Wars.
the dumb part there. I mean, if you're really caring about that aspect of like, what does this character look like? Or does this character decide to do with another character?
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me that's the line that you're drawing in this, not, the space wizard, floating an object with its mind. The
Yeah.
fact that there's sound and fire in space, the fact that a brother and sister are kissing, you
Yeah,
know,
there's a lot to talk about here.
yeah,
It's weird how we wanna say, you know, Deborah Chow had bad writing. It's like, what? Like, what are we talking about right now?
yeah,
There's like 7 other things that are actually, like, important, besides Deborah Chow's lazy writing. But it's just always funny to
yeah,
kinda talk about the things that some people say, some people hate, because it's just like, this is what we're focusing on right now?
yeah,
But then again, it's all, you know, Star Wars has that line from a certain point of view. That's all it is,
yeah,
man. We all see Star
absolutely.
Wars differently.
At the end of the
Um,
day, I'm gonna be on the couch with my dad watching the new project that comes out, and
Facts.
I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what. Like, even with the worst projects in Star Wars, there is still some aspect to that project that I'm going to enjoy no matter what.
100%. Nothing can ever change my idea or what I expect going forward. I feel like that's why I have so much fun making theories in my head
Yeah,
every single day. Now, if I wasn't making content, I would probably not think about Star Wars as much, but I'm
yeah,
always like cooking. I'm like, dude, what would happen if, you know, Grogu wanted to like get armor, you know, by the next installment of The Mandalorian? Now, what if Bo-Katan wants to like step back? What if Finn actually becomes a Jedi, you know, under Rey going forward? You know, like all those cool
that's a
things.
storyline I pray to God happens.
You know, that's okay. So kind of going into it this route. Now I kind of look at Finn as a character who was teased to be a Jedi. You know, of course, in the trailers, we see him holding, you know, the Skywalker lightsaber.
Yeah,
And then without any context, seeing The Force Awakens and knowing what happens, even seeing the sequel trilogy and knowing what happens, you're just kind of like, ah, damn, that was a missed opportunity.
yeah,
Then again, I kind of look at it as a Darth Maul and a Count Dooku of the prequel trilogy. Now, take the Clone Wars away, you have this limited screen time with a character
yeah,
like Darth Maul. It just wasn't his time to shine, dude. And same with Count
yeah,
Dooku. We see him a little bit in Attack of the Clones. He goes crazy on Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then, you know, runs away when Yoda pulls up. And then we see him right at the beginning of the next movie, and he dies. Now, it just wasn't his time. So now we get the Clone Wars, who
yep,
give those characters the time of day. Now these characters are fleshed out. I mean, who says in these new Rey films that this is, you know, Finn's time? Why does Finn have to be a Jedi as the day he stops, you know, working with the First Order? Why
yeah,
does that have to be a thing? And it's clear, you know, it's this is about Rey. This is about Ben Solo. This is about Leia Organa and her legacy as a Skywalker, and Luke and Han and Chewie and all these different things. Now, in the Rey film going forward, who says we can't get Finn? This is a perfect opportunity for Finn to have this. Of course, they were teasing that he was force sensitive in The Last Jedi and especially in Rise of Skywalker. What does that
yeah,
lead up to? Finn becoming a Jedi. And it also, what people always forget, now if Finn just becomes this Jedi after being a stormtrooper for all these years, what happened to Anakin? What happened to Osha or May? You know, they were too old to be trained as a Jedi. And that's just kind of not a thing anymore. It was the same with Luke. Luke had the capabilities. Of course, he's the son of a Skywalker, but he was too old. He was 19. How much could he learn in such little time?
Yeah,
If Finn can get this trajectory to being a Jedi, he's obviously too old, but that doesn't this also just shows that there's no age limit. If you wield the Force and you practice, and that's another thing Dave Filoni showing, even with Sabine Wren, that everyone is capable of becoming a Jedi. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you know, what you do. It can be done. And who says that can't be done for Finn going forward?
absolutely. I mean, that's a great point you bring up, though. Is what would the prequel trilogy be without the Clone Wars and without so many novels and comics that really just fleshed out these characters? I
Fact.
mean, Maul has become over the years one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. If I'm just taking the Phantom Menace, then yeah, he's a cool Sith, you know, double bladed lightsaber, really cool, fights Obi-Wan, cool ending. But then you get the Clone Wars and you get like this sort of like philosophical side to how Maul's viewing the galaxy, and especially with the season finale to the Clone Wars, we got his little monologue there about power and justice in the galaxy. Like that is one of the best speeches we have in Star Wars. Like I'd put that up there with some of the monologues we've gotten in Andor,
Yeah.
and like again, yeah, like like prequels just look so fondly on because of those background projects like the Clone Wars and like books and comics that really flesh them out. And I think that they need to do that for the sequel trilogy. Absolutely. I
Mhm.
would love a multi-season ongoing show with the sequel trilogy characters. Like just to flesh out that time period, build upon these characters. Like Anakin's fall to the dark side in the movies, yeah, it's great. Absolutely. But again, from 2 to 3, he's so different. And it's
Oh
like, "Oh, we just
God,
have
yeah.
to we just have to believe that, oh, now he's gonna slaughter an entire, room full of younglings and
Yeah.
become Darth Vader that we see in episode 4." It's like, "What?" Like, that's kinda huh? And then
Yeah.
you get the Clone Wars, and then you see his distrust with the Council growing and growing and growing, and those seeds of the dark side festering in him. And then when you add that on top of it all, and then you watch Revenge of the Sith, and you're like, okay, now I see why he's gone to where he is. So if we had a sequel trilogy show to kind of progress those characters along, either in between 7 and 8 and between 8 and 9, or even just continuing them beyond episode 9, that bridges the gap between that and what might be Rey's trilogy, I
Mhm.
think that would be insanely beneficial for those characters.
Oh, yes. And there's almost no question about it because let's say we get to see why Kylo Ren wanted to continue that exact legacy of his grandfather Darth Vader. I mean, of course we know that the relation is there and the bloodline is strong. But I want to know, like, Kylo Ren, obviously we see in comics how he, becomes a Ren at that, and it's not a Sith. It's like this different faction. It's this different thing that is just kind of course, being controlled by Palpatine in the background. Let's see more Palpatine, running things from the shadows. Let's see more Kylo Ren, why he becomes a Ren, why he wants to follow the dark side, getting the Knights of Ren. Like this is a show where we could almost get like arcs upon arcs of the Ren, the Knights of Ren. We
Yeah,
see them just a little bit in the sequels, and it's like, oh my god, those dudes are badass. I want to see them like mess some people up. Who says that they can't do that? And
exactly.
let's see Ray on Jakku. Let's see her go through a struggle. Let's see her parents. Finn. I mean, there's so many different things we could see. So many different POVs. Poe with the Resistance, um, being a pilot, seeing Finn as a stormtrooper. Going through those times and um, what did he say? What was it like janitorial or whatever?
Sanitation duty or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sanitation. Like, let's see him, like like doing sanitizing duties. Like, I want to see that. There's so many different things. Luke and Leia and Han. Like, we get to see Luke on Octo and going through the struggle that he went through. I mean, there's just so many things, and we get those legacy characters back once again. It's
Yeah.
just such a golden area that you can just feast off of, dude. Like in it, and all that does is enhance the sequel trilogies just like the Clone Wars did with the prequels. It definitely enhanced it. That's all it is.
Absolutely. And especially beyond episode 9. I mean, I love the Skywalker saga. There's definitely still stories to tell, but it's like it's getting so crowded now
Hmm.
with content. I mean, shows, live action animation, books, comics, movies, that I think it's about time Disney branches out beyond this small little piece of time, right? I
Right.
mean, it's what is it, start to finish, like 80 years or something like that?
Yeah,
And
roughly.
in galaxy time around that is like cool. That's 80 out of how many thousands of years of time. I mean, especially like beyond episode 9, like the future of Star Wars, I think we might have talked about this a couple weeks back, is like Grogu is so young for
Oh,
his
dude.
his species age, and we know his species, especially given that we know Yaddle and Yoda, both high council members, and they have that strong connection to the Force, that I could place it that the future of Star Wars could be on Grogu. Years, hundreds of years down the line, he could be that major Force presence in the universe. So like,
Yeah.
why not? After we wrap up the stories we have now, like the Mandoverse and whatnot, when we see how these characters come to finish in this timeline, let's jump ahead and see where they are, 100, especially when Grogu, like a couple hundred years down the line, or even just, how Rey sets up the galaxy post episode 9, and what stories can come from that just beyond.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing. Grogu is such a smart decision by Disney, by Jon Favreau, all of that. What happens when you have this cute little green guy? He's such an awesome, very well known character, whether you know
You
Star
sell
Wars
a
or
lot of
not.
merch with them, is what you do.
Dude, like,
Oh,
I have so much Grogu everywhere. I
yeah.
got him tattooed on my arm.
I was
It's
gonna
just
say
like,
right here, yeah.
he's everywhere. I'm seeing a Funko right here. I got, Grogu Lego all over this place, man. It's one of those things where it's like all of that stuff is really cool, but when you look at Star Wars and the stories and the trajectory where you want to finish with this character, Grogu can live up to obviously 900 years old. So now you have a wide open timeline of Star Wars projects that can flesh out over 900 years, give or take. Now, with Grogu coming from the Jedi Temple, now mixing in this Mandalorian culture, which it seems that he's going to take on, as
Yeah.
his main duty is to be a Mandalorian. I personally think that Grogu is set up to be the next Tar Vizsla, basically being a Jedi Mandalorian. Now, Sabine Wren, kind of cool. I feel like she is more of a Mandalorian than Jedi, but that doesn't mean that she can't obtain that. Kind of like, I was saying a little while ago. But Grogu, I mean,
Yep.
why can't he get Mando armor? Of course, it's going to be altered a little bit. It's not going to be your standard because he's not a human.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, like Grogu is the future of Star Wars. Now that's just
Absolutely, I think
that's
so,
just what
yeah.
it is. He just is the future of Star Wars. Who like there's always rumors that he's going to meet up with Rey at some point. That's going to happen. Rey and Grogu, what are like duh, it's going to happen.
Yeah, because how old would Grogu be even come like Rey's trilogy? Like if he's like 50 years old, just a bit past Return of the Jedi, like he's gotta be,
He's exactly Anakin's age. They were born the same year.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, he'd be
he'd be I'd say well over 100 by the time, Rey's new Jedi trilogy.
yeah,
And
cuz
by then he could be like, youngling, Padawan knight, Padawan maybe, era.
yeah, so yeah, cuz what is that? It'd be 40 years ABY like the time of the sequel trilogy, and then it's like 15 years later is Rey's like new Jedi Order. So yeah, so roughly you're talking 55 plus 23. So yeah, like mid
Yeah,
70s,
coming
late
up to a
70s.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right there. Yeah, almost 80. Like, and Grogu is still going to be he's going to be a young chap. He's going to be a young guy still. He's not going to be a baby anymore, but he'll probably be like a teenager maybe, and yeah, dude, that's going to be so awesome. And like,
I
what's
mean,
Ray going to be with like this little Mandalorian dude who also might have a lightsaber? Who knows?
yeah. I mean, Grogu is such an interesting character because he is the reason so many people either returned to Star Wars or got into Star Wars for the first time. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, we're some diehard, some real diehard Star Wars fans. We make it pretty much our entire life. Then you have those casual fans who like, yeah, like they'll watch a show here and there and they'll go see it in the movie theaters. And then there's people like my brother. Like we are polar opposites in the sense that look around my room. 90% of this is Star Wars. We both grew up enjoying it, but like he kind of just put it in like the rear view as life goes on. And the second Mandalorian came out, he like boom, just became a Star Wars fan all of a sudden. Like we were chatting daily about, Baby Yoda. He thinks he's like the funniest thing. Then he like from that, he got into the oh, there's nods back to the Clone Wars. There's nods to Rebels. There's nods to all these different aspects of Star Wars. And it's like, okay, now I can explain this to you. And now, he starts gaining a better understanding of the Star Wars universe. And then now he's like, oh, this new show comes out. I want to check this out now. So what started as, just one cool little cute green guy has like fostered into like, oh, this is a really cool show. Oh, this is a really cool show. And now I want to talk about this.
Right. Dude, and that's the thing. That's almost the beauty of it too. Is just like even with family, it's like how are we all connecting to this? I mean, obviously we are just like, yeah, dude, Star Wars, this is great. Grogu, he's awesome. Like we want to see like the best things happen for him. But like going forward, it's like what does a casual even think of Grogu? They're like the dude's cute. They're gonna show up. They're gonna watch. They want to see him do cool things. It's cool seeing him flip all over the place and
Yeah.
you know eat things and be funny. Like it's also at the end of the day, it's just like very entertaining. He's a good character for that.
Yeah.
It's gonna do very well.
And I mean, like, when season two's finale came and, Grogu's now with Luke at his like brand new Jedi temple, everyone was like, okay, well, that's the end we're gonna see of Grogu. Because, eventually it leads up to, Kylo Ren killing all of if I'm remembering correctly, he kills all of Luke's apprentices and burns down
Yeah, he
the
for
new
sure.
temple and dips.
Yeah,
Um, so it's like people, especially me, I was like, if he stays with Luke, I'm like, I don't see, like, I feel like that's the end of that storyline. But they brought him back, and now he's
right.
back with Din, and so that end for Grogu's no longer there. So his end story is just so wide open.
Yep. That and also too, it's like what would that have been like Grogu being, Luke's first student at the Jedi Academy? Like
That's one powerful first student.
that's such a good like thing cuz like even you could tell like Luke couldn't like handle Grogu at times. He's just kind of like, "Ah, man, he's just so stubborn and he can see it in him." And Ahsoka mentioning like, "You're the same way, just like your dad. You guys are the same thing. Like you all go through this." And basically it's just a nod at, no one's perfect. A really really cool thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah, dude, everything surrounding Grogu, the story, the matter, the subject, I mean, it's all really really good. And just like looking back at what and where Grogu started was just being a 50-year-old bounty, finally tracked down, and just to see this little cute Yoda species thing, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, this is the story. Everything is about this little guy. Like that is going back and looking at the start. It's really cool, man.
yeah. And it honestly gets me excited for Mandalorian and Grogu. I mean, like, the trailer came out, everyone had an opinion on it.
Hmm.
And some of the visuals I agree, like they're promoting this movie as for IMAX, right? This big theater experience. And some of the visuals in the trailer weren't my personal favorite. But again, this is a trailer for a movie that's still a year out. So there's so much production still left to be put into this thing.
You know how many
For
trailers
release
they got
day,
lined up?
like you saw one small minute and a half trailer for a over 2 hour movie. I mean, if you were to base any movie in the past off of a 1.5 minute little teaser trailer, I mean, you gotta sit with it. And I'm still excited for the future of it, no matter what.
Oh, dude, 100%. And that's kind of the thing is it's like, how many trailers do we see nowadays? And we're like, oh, you just gave me the plot and the answer of how like this entire movie plays out. Thanks. I really didn't even need to watch the movie. The trailer was everything for me. So like, why do we need extended dialogue? If anything, if I
Yeah,
want to hear any dialogue, it better be Grogu talking. We got to get
get some words out of them.
sooner rather than later. You got to start
Yeah.
talking.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, yeah, like I saw so many people complain about, like you mentioned, the no dialogue or the lack of dialogue in the trailer, or how, oh, this trailer didn't really give us any glimpse of like what is this even going to be about? What's the point of this movie? It's like, man, like, do you want them to tell you everything that's going to happen in this movie? It's like
Man,
going in, it's like movies recently, especially when it came to like the Fantastic Four for me. It's like I feel like I knew everything that was going to happen from the sheer amount of trailers, teasers, scene snippets that were given. It's like 90% of the plot I feel like I knew going into it. And like
yeah.
the same thing I found with Andor. I mean, we got, mind you, I watched every single one, so it's kind of my fault on that. I knew it was going to happen, but I was so excited. I had to watch everything that they put out about it. But again, it's like I feel like I knew a majority of the plot going into it because they just give out so much.
Yeah, they do, and that can be like a slippery slope sometimes,
Yeah.
with trailers is, just showing a little bit too much, and plus, I mean, this is obviously the first of many that will be coming out. There's gonna be the official teasers, there's gonna be the teaser, and, they're gonna show Disney always does it, they even do it for the TV series. They're gonna show a little snippet of the actual movie,
Yeah.
at some point, and it's just like, "Guys, we're gonna get more. This is just the first thing that has come out. It's the
And the
first one."
movie's still a year away, or
Yeah.
a year and a bit, or whatever, the
Yeah, May,
May 22nd, yeah, so just under a year.
yeah, then that's still so far away at the same time. I mean, yeah, we got November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, so we got 6, 7, 8 months. Yeah. Well,
More than half a year away. It's like there's so much work to put into it. There's so many teasers coming out. We're gonna get probably like a 3-minute long trailer at some point as well. It's like what we've seen is such a small portion of it. And I think people are just so used to seeing everything
yeah,
all at the start.
so weird.
Yeah.
And also too, like, especially like, for instance, like even in Lego, like there's even been like the January wave has already been pretty much leaked. We get the new Razor Crest, and it's gonna have more yellow than the previous play scale. We see that in the trailer. There's gonna be another Grogu. There's gonna be a Mando and Grogu 4+ set on the speeder bike, from like season one. Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's gonna be so many more sets, and it's like, guys, give it time. We got this.
There is still so much time for it to come out. We're gonna
Mm,
see so much about this movie. Like they
yeah,
always do.
like they always do. But man, with that kind of like being said, what just to kind of wrap it up, what is the biggest thing you are expecting to see from the Mandalorian and Grogu? Is there a certain cameo? Is there a certain character dynamic that you need to see? Is like what is pulling you to this one thing that you just need for Mando and Grogu?
Honestly, going into this movie, it's like not even like a cameo or something I want to happen. It's just like I want to have fun in the theaters again. It's the one thing I love so much about Solo, and I'm gonna sing Solo's praises all the time. Is like by story wise, it is not the best thing Star Wars has ever put out. Obviously, there's some issues with it, with everything, but Solo was such an enjoyable theater experience. Like the story was so much fun. The characters were all lovable, which is
Mhm.
what we're getting with the Mandalorian Grogu. Like we know we're gonna see Zeb. Love Zeb. I'm a
Yeah,
diehard Rebels fan. You know, Din's back, Grogu's here. We're probably gonna see so many people that we've seen over like the first 3 seasons. So honestly, I'm just gonna go in wanting to enjoy myself in the theaters. I mean, it's the first Star Wars movie, or new Star Wars movie, I should say, coming to the theaters since The Rise of Skywalker, right? So
yeah,
it's been years since we've gotten a new Star Wars movie.
yeah, man. That's kind of where I'm heading to. I mean, more so, I just want the experience, and I want those around me to just have fun, because
Yeah.
that's what Star Wars is. Star Wars is supposed to be fun, it's entertaining, And yeah, overall, it's entertainment at the end of the day. We gotta
Yeah.
w- we are what we make it at the end of the day. The Mandalorian and Grogu, it's such a huge show. Obviously, it's like the most streamed on Disney Plus, and it has been
Yeah.
for like consecutive seasons. I mean, the list goes on for what these characters can bring story wise to the table. Plus, they're so lovable. I mean, how can we not like Din Djarin and Din Grogu? I mean,
Din
it's
Grogu, such a cool name.
it's so dope. It's so
Yeah.
dope. So I hope we get to see more of him in the growth. That's what I personally want to see with Grogu is
Mhm.
just more growth because you get it every season, but this obviously it seems like there's a little more time. So
Yeah, that's the one thing, I had against season 3 is like I don't hate season 3 as much as most people do.
hmm
There's a lot of to it that I really enjoyed, but one thing is I think Grogu really did get sidelined in that season. I feel like he didn't really have much character growth and development that he had in the first 2 seasons.
yeah,
So, if this movie, they're back together going on another adventure, if we get some more Grogu character growth, I'd be all for that.
yeah, sign me up because at the end of the day, it's the Mandalorian, but there's more to it. Grogu could end up carrying that name going forward. So
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It's one of those things. I'm just too excited. It needs to be here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is also like Dave Filoni's baby, right? The Mandoverse. And I think it was, I don't know if it was confirmed or talking about, Dave Filoni's wanting his Heir to the Empire movie, his climactic finish to know everything going on in this Mandoverse. So this movie also could not so much set up an Ahsoka season 2, but there could be elements that lead to Ahsoka season 2 or events
Mm,
that happen in Ahsoka season 2, which then lead further into the future into whatever Filoni has sort of made up for what he wants his climactic finish to be. Because Ahsoka, it's pretty much a Rebel season 5,
yeah.
and in Mandalorian Grogu we have Zeb.
hmm
So I feel like Zeb needs to in some way make it back to the Ghost Crew, and this movie could be that bridge.
Yep. And I think and it also needs to happen. We know that Zeb has to get back with the crew. It's
Especially with
meant
Ezra
to
being
happen.
back in the galaxy.
Yeah, dude. That's also a huge thing. That's almost as like, ooh, we actually have a bigger story than we could ever imagine right now with Ezra being back in the main galaxy, Thrawn being back in the main galaxy. I mean, between the Empire and the First Order, this is Thrawn's era where he's finally in charge. Knowing that Palpatine's not there anymore is just music to Thrawn's ears at this point.
I mean, we have so many major players in the galaxy right now, right? I mean, we still have like the OT cast, Luke, Leia,
hmm
Han are out there doing their stuff. We also
Yep.
have the Rebels crew, making their waves. We now have like the Mandalorians gaining traction and unity with one another.
Yep.
So I don't know. It could be a really epic, like Avengers Endgame esque climactic finish to this Mandoverse.
Yeah. And not even just to leave out that this is a time where Thrawn and the Night Sisters obviously are brewing up an army, like an undead army. And what
Yeah.
you think Luke, Han, Leia, the Ghost crew, Ahsoka's gone, Sabine's gone, and the Mandalorians, they're gonna take them out. I mean, you have to have more. And who
Yeah.
doesn't say like I think a really cool thing, kind of just theorizing, is like, is this where we bring live action Cal Kestis to the show? Now we bring him and Marin, and of course Cal hates the Empire. He's gonna want to take down any
Yep.
remnant. It's always teased in the Jedi games where maybe Cal Kestis is like drawn between Marin. Marin obviously is a Night Sister, but her family, her sisters, are going against the New Republic. Like, so
Yeah.
that could like kind of pull them apart. And we know how close they are, as characters and as a couple. I mean, this is the time where you bring Cameron Monaghan in and absolutely just go crazy with the character,
Oh my god, I would love Cal Kestis and live
dude.
action. That would be so cool.
It'd be so sick.
I mean, even seeing him in uh Rebuild the Galaxy,
Yeah, they
like
did a great
Lego
job.
version was so cool. So live action would be insane with Cal. I mean, his story was left open as well. I think there's like a Jedi 3 game on the way, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the end of his character. There's got to be more.
Well, and that's the thing too, is it's like, a lot of games nowadays are doing that thing where they'll bring in actual actors, and basically imprint them into the game, and they are in the game. The actors are part of the game. But Cameron Monaghan, I just feel like with the caliber of an actor that he is, you don't just let him just sit in this video game. You bring that character to life. And how
Yeah,
many people love Cal Kestis? They're gonna want to bring that character to live action to just flesh out more. This is a great time to do
absolutely.
all that. It's a great time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, you bring someone like Cameron and like you got to use him. You have
Yeah.
him.
Make him a big player, dude. I mean, at this point in time, he's going to be a little bit older than Luke. He's going to be probably around the same age as maybe Kanan would be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, there
yeah.
were
So
similar Padawan ages around Order 66, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, he's not going to be like some old dude, but he's not going to be, the young guy, going through the times of, the Jedi Survivor games. So I mean, yeah, he's definitely got some hate towards the Empire still, and he's gonna, take it out on any faction, especially with Thrawn being the heir to the Empire. It's a good struggle for that character to bring him in and actually utilize him.
Oh, especially his hate for the Empire, absolutely, like you mentioned. Yeah, he worked so hard to bring an end to the Empire, and now he's like, "Oh no, it could come back." Like, not on
Yeah,
my watch. Absolutely not.
no, yeah.
Absolutely not.
And it's like, oh damn, my girlfriend is also a nice sister. She's definitely going to be on the other side of this. Or what would be cool is if he, convinced, or even if Marin just had the feeling like I need to help the New Republic. What's right? And it's just like, whoa, we have one of the enemies on our side. So that would be kind of cool. Bringing Marin over to the New Republic, that would be pretty dope.
And that'd be a cool like internal struggle for Marin's character. I mean, do I side with my family or do I
Yeah.
side with what I believe is morally right to do?
Yeah. And I mean, that's also a good thing for today, even, with what's going on in the world. I mean, that's something that
Absolutely.
you could easily throw forward with Marin's character. So, I mean, hey, dude, who knew that Night Sister from the Jedi Fallen Order games could maybe have a bigger role and a bigger plan going forward for live action? Who knows, man?
Yeah, exactly.
The field's open. But man, this was a great conversation, bro. I mean, this is the second time through, and yeah, we knocked it out the park again.
Absolutely.
Let everyone know where they can find you: Instagram, YouTube. Let them know what Star Wars Centers is all about, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me a second time.
Yeah.
Even though they're only gonna think of this as like the first interaction. But yeah, my name is Noah. I'm at Star Wars underscore center on Instagram and TikTok primarily. I might be getting back into that YouTube grind soon if I ever so get the inclination to do so, which I hope. It's so easy to just lay back and be like, I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, on Instagram and TikTok primarily, I'm starting to try to branch out into TikTok. I might also be going through a rebrand soon. I'm thinking start of next year. I might like work on it over the next couple months and then start the year off fresh with like a fresh new name, utilizing myself more as my brand. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's getting to talk Star Wars at any time is great.
Yes, absolutely, dude. And yeah, thank you for joining me. You make this podcast alive, man. I can sit here and talk Star Wars to myself and to the camera, but always having a guest and fun guests as well.
Mhm.
Always make a good time. So thank you. Um
Yeah, of
but
course.
yeah, man, going forward, man, everything Star Wars lore, theory, Funko, Lego, that's what we talk about on the channel. So if you guys are into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, stay a while, check out the other videos on the channel, and also make sure you check out Star Wars Center for all of your news, your rumors, and everything in the Star Wars universe, and pretty much current issues going forward in the galaxy far, far away. So everything for Noah will be linked down below: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So there's almost no reason for you not to just scroll down and hit the follow button on those links. And of
Yeah.
course, same here. But with that being said, we will see y'all in the next one. this is the way.